Hi, my name's Eric, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk once again about Tori Amos. Today, as you requested, I'm going to react to her 1998 album From the Choirgirl Hotel and break down the album's lyrics. Before I dive in, normally this is where I would ask you what Tori Amos album I should react to next, but the consensus seems to be that I should just continue going in chronological order. If I shouldn't, let me know, but in the meantime, tell me in the comments down below what your favorite Tori Amos album is. Is it one that I've already listened to, or one that I have yet to listen to? Check the description for a link to a list of nonprofits you can donate to. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week, and hit the bell icon to be notified when my videos go live. Without further ado, track number 1 is Spark.
Addicted to nicotine patches. She's afraid of a light in the dark. She's convinced she could roll back pressure, but she couldn't keep baby alive. You don't want it again, but she
So it sounds to me like this is about the loss of a child or a pregnancy.
Maybe next I'll give Judas a try.
Wow. Oh, that was such an impressive song. Again, I would love your help in identifying the time signature. It sounds to me like the song is about pregnancy loss. I'm actually just going to check to make sure I'm not reading into this incorrectly. Okay, yeah, so it does actually look like this song is, as I suspected, about a miscarriage. So the spark from the title of the song refers to initial signs of life. If life is fire, then the beginning of life is a spark. Tori says she's convinced she could hold back a glacier, but she couldn't keep a baby alive. Again, it fits in the same framework. If fire is life, then ice is death. She couldn't prevent death. And because of that, she says that she's doubting if there's a woman in there somewhere. This actually describes a really common reaction among women to miscarriages and other fertility issues. I guess you could attribute it, at least in part, to Tori's religious upbringing and the way that, especially in very religious communities, women are seen as having the primary role of childbearing and child rearing. But it's also understandable given just how traumatic a miscarriage can be. And so then on the second verse, Tori says, if the Divine Master's plan is perfection, maybe next I'll give Judas a try. Tori is questioning the Christian ideas of the will of God and predestination, where everything happens because God intended it to. And if Tori suffered this terrible, painful event because God wanted her to, then maybe she doesn't want to live out God's will anymore. So just like on her past albums, Tori is setting up that she is struggling with religion and gender and the amount of power that she has within these systems. Track number 2 is Cruel. Ooh. Oh, this is dark.
So don't give me respect, don't give me a piece of your precious nail. Even the rain bows down with a spray as you cock your mane. I can be cruel, I don't know why, I love a brother, bougainvillea, my vine twist.
Oh, that was so different. The instrumentation was very new from these first four albums of Tori's that I've listened to. It's almost like a combination of Precious Things and Björk's Army of Me. And I really love that as an artistic progression because her songwriting style is still very much the same, but with that deeper, richer instrumentation, it introduces a whole other emotional dimension that wasn't present, and I think that dimension is anger. And that anger comes from a feeling, I think, of disempowerment because, just like I said on the last song, Tori is struggling with finding power. She says here on the chorus, "Why can't my balloon stay up in a perfectly windy sky?" Just like the ice of the last song, the elements are against her. They want to keep her from staying afloat. The lyrics on the song in general are a bit on the abstract side, but one detail that stands out to me is on the first verse when she says, "Don't give me a piece of your preciousness." I think she's tying back to her earlier song Precious Things, which is one of my favorites of hers, and on that song, the word precious meant sort of comfortingly antiquated and outdated and traditional, specifically with relation to things like gender norms. And because of the song's vagueness, I feel like there are two possible scenarios going on here. The first is that Tori sees her ex and he is out parading his new girlfriend around and puffing out his chest and trying to make Tori jealous, and because of that she ends up seeing this new girlfriend in kind of an unkind way. So maybe this type of competition that arises between women that Tori has talked about on other albums, especially Under the Pink, is or creates or perpetuates a type of cruelty. Or this is someone on the outside looking in at Tori after her miscarriage, and on the last song she said that God might be responsible for that, so it feels like this could be God basically taunting her for her misfortune. I honestly can't decide really which situation is going on here, but I think either interpretation lends itself to this feeling that the world is cruel to women in the spheres of family and religion and dating. And of course, this is a perspective informed by a lot of pain. Track number 3 is Black Dove or January. The piano is back.
She was a January girl. She nailed it on how insane it was. By the woods, by the woods, by the woods, by the woods. You're not a helicopter. You're not a cop out either, honey, black dove. On the other side of the galaxy, the other side of the galaxy. So many storms that somehow, how a lion becomes a mouse. But I had to get to Texas. Had to get to Texas. Black dove, you don't need a spaceship. On the other side of the galaxy, by the woods, by the woods, by the woods, blind dove.
Oh my gosh, this album is so great so far. Wow. What a beautiful, beautiful song. And of course, it does so many things that I love about Tori's music. The combination, of course, of keys and strings is just perfection. But it also has that really aggressive chorus like Professional Widow. There are so many great lyrical ideas in the song, but starting with the title, a black dove is kind of an unusual image because biblically, a white dove is a sign of peace and hope, whereas a blackbird in general in a lot of media is often a bad omen. So it's like God again is sending a warning to Tori, or to her character. She's talking a lot in the third person, but I think most of the time she's talking about herself. And then January is a winter month, at least in the northern hemisphere, so Tori again is in this cold world like on Winter or Icicle or Marianne. On the chorus, she says to the black dove, "You're not a helicopter, you're not a cop-out either." I love the internal rhyme, and a cop-out is an excuse. So she's saying that this black dove, this omen, isn't about to give her a way out of this harsh winter world. She's not about to get airlifted out of her isolated, wintry cabin. In the wake of this tragedy, she can't find an escape from the coldness and cruelty of the world. On the second verse, she says, "So many storms not right somehow, how a lion becomes a mouse." The storms, or the elements, again refer to the cruelty of fate, and a lion becoming a mouse is a proud, confident person being beaten down and becoming small and meek. On Cruel, Tori used a mane like a lion's mane as a symbol of confidence, so again, this is just about how life can beat anyone down. So cruel fate, as represented by the black dove, swoops in and makes people lonely and afraid. And I hope things get better for Tori on track number 4, Raspberry Swirl. That was a banger. That was so much fun, and there were so many lyrical details that were so great that I would love to talk about. If there are some that I don't mention that you would like to talk about and explain, please do so. One detail that I like is that Tori says, "I'm not your señorita," which means miss in Spanish. They're basically functionally the same. But again, it's this distinction that doesn't exist for men between miss and misses, between unmarried women and married women. But also specifically in Spanish, the suffix ita is diminutive, so if you translated it in a really literal way, it could mean little lady, which to Tori might read as sort of condescending or as disempowering, the same way that society might condescend to or disempower unmarried women. And as usual, she connects this to religion, saying, "In the garden I did no crime." This, of course, refers to the story of the Garden of Eden and original sin, and the interpretation of Genesis that blames Eve, and by extension women, for the fall of man is often cited as a source, or at least an instance, of religious misogyny. So when she says, "Boy, you better make her raspberry swirl," it sounds like she's encouraging men to give back to the women in their lives in the bedroom. Gotta make up for those centuries of oppression somehow, I guess. Track number 5 is Jackie's Strength.
Shots rang out. Mama laid me on the front lawn and prayed for Jackie's strength. My bridesmaids getting laid, pray for Jackie's strength. But you know, you said we were refined so sharp with black magic and do make me laugh. Say no. Stickers leaked on lunch boxes, worshiping David Cassidy. Sleepovers, beans, cats, and pie. You're only popular with anorexia. Make me laugh. Say no. But you said we were refined. I got lost on my wedding day. Typical. If you love enough, you lie a lot. Guess the lady come along, Jackie. Hey.
That was so gorgeous. Oh my god, this album is so good. And it sounds like the song is about Jackie O, the wife of American President John F. Kennedy, who was assassinated while Jackie was sitting next to him. And the assassination of JFK is just one of those national tragedies where everyone who was alive at the time remembers exactly where they were when it happened, and Tori says, "Mama laid me on the front lawn and prayed for Jackie's strength." And then at the end of the first verse, Tori very cleverly uses the same language to mean something different when she says, "Never thought my day would come, my bridesmaids getting laid, I pray for Jackie's strength." She's saying my mother prayed to give Jackie strength, and now on my wedding day, I am praying to have that strength too. So there's this feeling of almost coalition building among women. There's this continuity between Tori's mother and Jackie O and Tori, where they are all building strength with one another. And in retrospect, Tori knows that she needed that strength because her partner was dishonest with her. She describes his love as black magic, and on the third verse says, "If you love enough, you'll lie a lot. Guess they did in Camelot." Camelot was the Kennedy estate, so Tori is saying that you can build this whole love and life and image on lies. And so that's what was wrong with this marriage. Track number 6, I think, is I-I-E-E-E.
With your ease and your ease, and I'm doing my easy girls, easy yours, sweet saliva. And I do want more. We scream cathedrals, gotta be a sacrifice. Gotta be just
Wow, that was so different. I love the contrast between the aggressiveness and drama of this song and the chamber pop beauty of Jackie's strength. We're seeing so many different dimensions of Tori's musical personality, and I think the production is really bringing that to the surface. And I think what's going on lyrically on this song is that the relationship that Tori was just talking about is now ending, and so that's why it's this sort of cacophonous chaos of heartbreak. And so she says, "I know we're dying and there's no sign of a parachute." So this is pretty straightforward. They are breaking up, and as much as they would like to, they can't slow down or stop the process of falling out of love. She invokes religion in I think a few ways. On the first verse she says, "Is it God's? Is it your sweet saliva?" I feel like she's saying again, did you make me fall in love, or was it God? Because either way, she was powerless. And on the chorus she says, "We scream in cathedrals, why can't it be beautiful? Why does there gotta be a sacrifice?" She's a choir girl. She wants to sing and celebrate in this cathedral, not scream. She wants holy music and divine love, not the other side of a religious devotion that requires pain and loss. And on the bridge she calls her lover an arsonist. Maybe again, if life is fire and the beginning of life is a spark, then he is the one who helped her set that fire. Maybe more literally, he was the father of this child that they lost, and so this grief is pulling them apart. Track number 7 is Liquid Diamonds. Okay, we've got a fade out here. I really enjoyed Tori's vocal delivery on the song, and fitting with the eerie sound of the song, the lyrics are also pretty cryptic, but I think what's going on here is that Tori is diagnosing and explaining some of her psychological issues. And what I'm gathering is that Tori feels emotionally repressed in a way that makes her feel alienated from herself, which might explain why she spent so much of the album speaking about herself in the third person. On the chorus, she says, "I guess I'm an underwater thing, so I guess you can't take it personally." Not only does she feel like a lifeless object, but she also feels like she's underwater or drowning. She's someone you have to fish out from deep down, so she's saying, don't take it personally if you have trouble connecting with me. She even says on the second verse that she has to go looking for her own soul. She feels separated from her religious identity or from her identity in general. And I think we get more information about why that is on the outro when she says, "Can he bring me those jeans? Keep it back, daddy's down," preaching back into himself. On the song Silent All These Years, jeans represented to Tori the feeling of objectification and being replaceable as a woman in relationships with men, and then she says that she had to hide her relationships and her romantic life from her father, who was a minister. Once again, gender roles and religious dogma made her feel repressed, so now she has trouble forming and maintaining relationships. Track number 8 is She's Your Cocaine.
The devil's look like you. Cut it again.
Whoa, that was so fun. And so Tori, having lived through a relationship where she should have seen earlier the signs that it wasn't going to work out, is now planting some red flags in another couple's relationship. And the gist is, she's emasculating you, you're addicted to her, you're losing your agency. And Tori throughout this album has actually used addiction as a shorthand for the loss of agency, but mostly with respect to nicotine. On the first verse, Tori says that this woman has got this man shaving his legs and putting on makeup, and not because it sounds like he thinks it's fun, but because he is beginning to inhabit this role of femininity that Tori has been struggling with. And so just like she felt powerless and detached from herself on Liquid Diamonds, here she says, "Boy, you're your favorite stranger." And there might even be a hint here that Tori herself is in love with this guy, because she says on the bridge, "If you want me to, boy, I could lie to you," because we know from Jackie's Strength that lying is an expression of love. And she says, "Is it true that devils end up like you?" In Christian theology, the devil was a fallen angel, so she's saying, your paradise is lost. As long as you're in this relationship, you're in hell. Track number 9 is Northern Lad.
Had a northern lad, well, not exactly had. I thought we'd be okay. Would I feel something is wrong? City could see me now. It's time to turn the page. Because of
Wow, that was so climactic and so beautiful. The piano work on the song reminds me so much of Anoni's early work. So beautiful. This sounds like another breakup song, but after She's Your Cocaine, something has changed. Because now that she has seen a relationship from the outside and observed a man's failings and a man's powerlessness in the relationship, she can look at the man in her own relationship with some of the criticism that she saw herself with earlier. It sounds pretty clearly like this guy isn't doing it for her anymore in bed, he's not showing up for her anymore, and he's closed himself off to her. And a funny self-referential line in the second verse is, "I guess you go too far when pianos try to be guitars." This, I think, just describes the process of people changing and growing apart, but in real life, Tori, I believe, fought to have the piano as her primary instrument on Little Earthquakes as opposed to guitars, which were trendier at the time in the alt-rock world. And I don't know if I got this information from an interview that I read of hers or from the comments, but I got it from somewhere. So maybe in sort of a meta way, Tori is saying that just by being herself and refusing to allow other people to impose their expectations on her, she has had to abandon opportunities and relationships that otherwise would have required her to give up part of herself. Track 10 is Hotel. Okay. That was so wild. All of those rhythmic shifts really threw me off, but in a fun way. I mean, just when I thought Northern Lad was the climactic moment of the album, we get to this song, I can only imagine what's coming next. And so, continuing with this theme of repression, this song takes place underground in a world that restricts people's freedom. Tori opens the song by saying, "Met him in a hotel, beneath ground, tell me that he's missing, tell me this is one for Lollipop Gestapo." This is some special guy that Tori met who has now literally or figuratively disappeared. He's had to go underground to hide from the Lollipop Gestapo. The Gestapo were the Nazi police force, and so a lollipop and its childlike qualities, of course, contrast very much with that. And so the tone tells me that she is mocking this pressure. She's saying, "What are you so afraid of? The lollipop cops? Those suckers?" She says he used to be wild, but now he's crashing. And on the second verse, she says, "You say he's the biggest thing there'll be this year." This is the type of language that people use when they're talking about an artist on the rise. So it sounds like this song is about this great artist who Tori meets, and then he and his creativity are tamped by the pressures of the world, whether they be restrictive social norms or industry standards. In either case, Tori says, "I'm still alive." This other artist may have given up his creative spirit, but Tori hasn't. Track number 11 is Playboy Mommy.
In my platforms, I hit the floor. I fell face down. Then my baby came before I found the magic pill to keep her happy. I wanted me to be. Don't judge me so harsh, little girl. You wanna cross the bridge alone, you're alone. But when you tell 'em my name, so like me. I'll say it loud here by your grave. Those angels can't ever take my place. You got a Playboy Mommy. I can't find those church bells that played when you died. Played Gloria to take you in my arms.
Well, I just got chills all over. Sounds like this sort of upbeat country rock song with that beautiful slide guitar, and then you hear the lyrics and it is just devastating. Because on this song, Tori returns to thinking about her miscarriage and some of her insecurities about being a mother. On the first verse, she says, "The baby came before I found the magic, how to keep her happy. I never was the fantasy of what you want or wanted me to be." She's saying that when she found out she was pregnant, first, she wasn't confident that she could take care of a child, and second, that she would have to face the judgment of people who wouldn't see her as the ideal woman or the perfect mom. For 4 albums, Tori has told us that being her, being not like the other girls, involves a lot of scrutiny, so she's trying to imagine how that would fit into her being a mom, which very generally is a pretty traditional type of womanhood. She then goes on to imagine being a mom and basically comes to the conclusion that she can be both a nonconformist and a good mom, and in possibly the saddest lines in the song she says, "I'll say it loud here by your grave, those angels can't ever take my place." She's saying even though you're not here, I will always be your mom. Wow. Track number 12 is Pandora's Aquarium. This is the final track on the standard version of the album, but I will also react to the bonus track.
Pandora, Pandora, she dives for shells with her nautical nets. I'm not asking you to believe in me. I'm not Persephone. These things you do, I never asked you how. Still, but I can taste you still. Love Louise. Line me up in single file with all your grievances. I am not asking you to believe in me. She's in New York somewhere, checking her accounts.
And that is how the standard version of the album ends. Wow, I love the jazz influence. She has such great breath support on this song, I mean in general, but that last note was just so impressive. So first, Tori brings back this aquatic imagery from Liquid Diamonds, and again, I think it represents this world where Tori is held down and repressed by a variety of things. And I feel like the mention of Pandora here relates closely to Tori's exploration of Christianity, because you can arguably draw a comparison between original sin and all of humanity's ills being blamed on Eve, and the way that by opening her box, Pandora unleashed illness and violence and strife onto the world. And then Tori says that she's not Persephone. Persephone, by no choice of her own, was the wife of Hades and the queen of the underworld. And after she mentions Persephone, she says, "Foam can be dangerous with tape across my mouth." She's saying, I'm not like Persephone. I won't let the devil take me and hide me underground. I may have tape across my face to shut me up, but I'm still foaming at the mouth like a wild animal. And then she says that Pandora goes diving for shells, which, as we know from Liquid Diamonds, is where the soul is found. So Tori ends the standard version of the album by saying that she is going to work against this world, fight back against the system that wants to drown her and keep her down. She's going to fight the despair brought on by her loss and continue to look for her soul as a woman and as an artist. Alright, the final bonus track, track number 13, is Purple People or Christmas in Space.
Well, hey, do you do judo when they surround you? No matter what it takes, she promises a show. Thunder wishes it could be the snow. These gifts are here for her, for you, for me. And lily white mattress side rumpishes words no one's had. Thunder wishes it could be the snow. Just when you escape, you have yourself to feel. Breakfast every hour, it could save the world.
And that is how the album ends. I really like these particular lines. Lily white matricide from vicious words, it doesn't leave a scratch, so therefore no one's hurt. Matricide refers to the killing of a mother, which is bad, and Tori attributes these evils to vicious words and then says with a very thick layer of irony that words can't really hurt now, can they? The obvious answer being, yeah, they clearly can. Words convey ideas, including harmful ideas that can inspire harmful acts. And on the chorus, Tori says, thunder wishes it could be the snow, wishes it could be as loved as she can be. Snow, as we know, represents childlike innocence, which Tori feminizes here, whereas thunder is loud and aggressive, and she refers to thunder as it. So maybe this can represent two types of women. Snow is a pure, demure lady, whereas Thunder is an outspoken rebel. And Tori says, these gifts are here for her, for you, for me. Again, it's this continuity among women, just like on Jackie's Strength. So I think Tori's concluding here that women don't have to perpetuate the type of silencing and competition that happened on songs like Silent All These Years and Liquid Diamonds. Even in the face of loss and pain, there's plenty of womanhood, plenty of life, and plenty of joy to go around. Overall, this was such an impressive album. We're really 4 for 4 on, I think, masterpieces from Tori. I'm struggling a lot to choose a favorite. I know Spark stood out to me, Raspberry Swirl was so much fun, Black Dove was so haunting, Jackie's Strength was so gorgeous, Playboy Mommy was so emotional, the last song, Purple People, had such a beautiful melody. There's something to this album about the immediacy of the pain that Tori or Tori's voice or character is experiencing. I feel like compared to an album like Little Earthquakes, where Tori was talking a lot about her past and her deep past, where she had a lot of time to process it, here the pain is more immediate and more recent, and that represents itself through the more aggressive production, which I think is fantastic, and the lyrics, which are sort of a bit less direct, but also very loaded with just a lot of darkness. Tori is for sure becoming one of my favorite songwriters, so thank you to all of you who recommended that I listen to her, and specifically to this album. Like I said, please let me know in the comments down below what music I should react to next, and what other topics you'd like to see me cover on my channel. Don't forget to check the description box for that donation link. Please subscribe to be here when I post new videos every week. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and until next time, that's it.